Hello, welcome to another video of Read With Me. I am so excited to continue this chapter. We're on chapter 5 of Invent It, Sell It, Bank It, baby. And not only that, we're talking about money. We're talking about getting funded. We're talking about using other people's money to grow your business. And I absolutely love it. You must go check out the last video. It was part 1 of chapter 5, and we talked about some really interesting things in there. Not only how to get some money from your friends and family, using the Jeff Bezos example, but also how to raise some capital, how to leverage banks to get some money, some government SBA loans, venture capitalist firms. And what I really enjoyed is how Lori mentioned that she started her business by leveraging what she actually has. So she said she got a $300,000 line of credit. She ended up drawing out a total of $250,000, which covered her tools, graphic design, photography, packaging, and 20,000 units. But then as she continued to, build those relationships with her suppliers, her manufacturers, and all of that, she was able to raise not only the 300,000 credit line, but now she's into like 5 million. And I mean, now it's probably like a lot more. So that's how you leverage. You got to know the game. That's why we read these books. That's why we decide and make the decision to move forward and learn, because it's when you learn, you earn. Okay. All right. So we're going to continue with part 2 of this chapter here, because it continues. I mean, she's giving all the juice. Okay. She's giving all the juice when it comes to funding. So let's get into it. Okay. The first thing that we're going to cover is crowdfunding. Okay, crowdfunding, it can be extremely difficult for a small business or an individual inventor to get funding through traditional pathways when he or she has little collateral to offer and no sales track. Fortunately, over the past few years, a new type of fundraising system called crowdfunding takes advantage of internet-based social networks and has gained in popularity. Crowdfunding is like friends loans on steroids. It gathers money from a lot of people than just your friends. So there's basically 2 types. One is donation-based and equity-based, as well as some hybrids that combine these models. 1, the donation-based crowdfunding. The donation-based model of crowdfunding is an online funding strategy that seeks donations from large pools of individuals stretching well beyond any one inventor or entrepreneur's immediate circle in exchange for rewards, or increasingly with pre-orders if the donation is funding the production of a consumer good. Rock bands have financed albums and tours through crowdfunding. Teachers have funded classrooms. Nonprofits have matched grants. Countless organizations from every sector of the economy have sought and received support from these type of projects this way. Interesting. There are many donation-based crowdfunding sites. So for example, Quirky, Quirky, and Rocket Hub, each catering to a specific demographic and type of industry. At the time of this writing, by far, the 2 most popular such sites are Kickstarter and Indiegogo. Kickstarter, known for hosting the most highly funded campaigns to date, Kickstarter was launched in 2009, and since then, donors have pledged more than $450 million to the projects of their choice. The average campaign runs about $5,000. Projects are highly selective and limited to a specific number of categories. generally involving entertainment, the arts, and technology. Increasingly, however, Kickstarter is becoming known as a place where entrepreneurs can find backing for new cool consumer products. Here's how it works. An inventor creates a page for his product, essentially pitching it to explain why it's worthwhile, the investment, and why it's important. Then he sets a funding goal and a deadline. If people get excited about the product and want to see it succeed, they can pledge money, essentially pre-ordering the product. There is usually an incentive attached to each level of pledge. So for example, your name on the company website for $100, a first edition of the product, and your name on the company website for $150. A year supply of the product, 2 tickets to the launch party, and your name on the company website for $200, and so on and so forth. If the project reaches its funding goal by the deadline, the donor's credit cards are charged. They receive whatever reward accompanied their pledge. The Kickstarter receives 5% fee. If the project falls short, no one is charged and the inventor receives no money. Funding on Kickstarter is all or nothing. Project initiators retain all control over their product and business. 2 of my Shark Tank entrepreneurs, Kelly Coughlin and Jen Deese, are the inventors of Purse Case, a phone case designed to look like a tiny purse for a woman who wants to go out carrying only the essentials. It protects your phone, but also holds credit cards, cash, and IDs. They successfully raised enough money to fund their first product run on Kickstarter, though the process was not as seamless as they thought it would have hoped. First, they researched other successfully funded Kickstarter projects to see those entrepreneurs did right and ascertain the financial goal that they could reasonably attain. They created a polished video, did a photo shoot of their product, and wrote compelling marketing copy. At the time of their launch in early 2013, Kickstarter's success stories were receiving a significant amount of coverage from online media outlets like TechCrunch, Mashable, Colin, and Deese hopped to reap the benefits of the heightened awareness. Beginning with a heavy social media campaign to their friends and family networks, the pair quickly raised $3,000 in the first week. Then donations stalled. Colin and Deese now say, "We were prepared for a stall, but we weren't prepared for how long the stall would last." No matter how hard they worked to expand the donor base and get media attention for their product, donations remained at a trickle and in fits and starts. The Kickstarter audience just wasn't responding to the Purse Case product. That's when Colin and Deese realized something, as might have been surmised by the type of online media covering the Kickstarter story, which addressed primarily tech and innovation audience. The Kickstarter donor population was heavily male. It was a woman in the audience who liked their idea. There just weren't enough of them on the site. One welcome Kickstarter connection they did make, however, was a manufacturer who found them through the site and offered to make their purses for less than their current manufacturer. Realizing that they would never meet their fundraising goal in time, but reassured by the fact that now they no longer needed as much of a down payment to get their product made, they decided to go with Plan B. When a fundraising project stalls, donors get discouraged and generally opt to save their money for something that has a better chance of succeeding. To keep the project moving forward and encourage further donations, the inventionistas asked a generous friend to loan them money in the form of donations made in small increments over time, so the pledge total would continue to increase. This encouraged further funding, further giving. Ultimately, the pair earned only $13,000 of their $35,000 target and had infused the project with their own cash to meet their goals and keep the money they had actually raised. They ultimately returned the money they owed the benefactor who kept the project going. And in the end, they did earn enough cash to pay for the first round of inventory. Though the ride was a little bumpy, Colin and Dees have no regrets. Not only did they raise the money necessary to launch their company, but they also made connections through Kickstarter. They have proved invaluable to their business, including their current equity partner. Colin and Dee's story is a classic example of how inventors have to be prepared for anything and turn every situation, no matter the outcome, into a learning experience that will ultimately benefit their business. And the purse case is a great seller to date. The other type of crowdfunding is Indiegogo, similar to Kickstarter, except that it does not curate projects. Indiegogo's level of innovation represented is generally somewhat lower, but there is a broader range of products and business for donors to choose from. In addition, charities and even individuals can raise money on their site for any cause, such as the campaign to send a bullied bus monitor in New York State on a well-deserved vacation, which raised over $700,000. Though the cachet of some projects may sometimes be a little lower, Indiegogo's advantage over Kickstarter is that it only charges a 4% fee for successful projects for a 9% fee. It allows you to it only charges 4% for successful projects. And then there is also a 9% fee, which allows you to keep whatever funds you raise, even if you fail to meet your projected goal. Indiegogo projects only have about 20% success rate. However, compared to Kickstarter's 44%. Wow, I didn't know that success rate. That's extremely important to know. Then there's another one. It's called GoFundMe, a crowdfunding site for just about everything. GoFundMe is for just about anyone, so long as he or she has a Facebook page. GoFundMe taps your social networks for money. People have raised money to pay for surprise birthday parties, medical bills, and surgeries to heal and abuse puppies' broken hips. GoFundMe receives a 5% fee per donation, and the donations are paid out as soon as they come in. Recently, the site launched an all-or-nothing reward-based campaign option, like those on Kickstarter, which specifically target to help fund the individual products of artists, inventors, and entrepreneurs. So in the sum, there are a number of pros and cons to crowdfunding. Here are the pros. You can test the market and gauge demand for your product. It allows you to raise capital without giving away your equity. You can mobilize an audience that will become loyal fans, eager for you to succeed. Kickstarter donors became Colin and Deese's biggest supporters and actively promoted their product on social media platforms. And then here are some cons, which is actually a bigger list. If your product appeals to a different target demographic than the crowdfunding platform, your market testing will be flawed and getting backers will become much more difficult. The amount of time that you put into your campaign directly correlates with how much money you raise. So attracting backers is basically a full-time job. On Kickstarter, if you don't raise the full amount that you ask for, you don't get any money at all. That's extremely interesting there. I didn't know that. If you haven't taken the correct steps to protect your idea through a patent or a trademark before running your campaign, you're at high risk for idea theft. Factories looking for ideas and new products regularly trawl crowdfunding sites for ideas they can steal and quickly knock off. Wow. Which goes back to what I was mentioning in video number 4, or the previous video, part 1 of chapter 5. There's millions of people just knocking off different courses and, membership sites and just landing pages altogether. So you got to be careful with what you're putting out there. If it's good, it's going to get knocked off. Okay. So don't take it personal. Like, our stuff has been copied a lot. Okay. So don't take it personal. It just means that you're doing something that's great and it's visually appealing and it's freaking converting awesome. So don't take it personal. You're doing a great job. It's your responsibility to stay innovative, get educated, and learn how to protect your assets. And this is where it gets really, really good. The crowdfunding market has become saturated, especially on Kickstarter. And so it has grown more difficult to break through the clutter. Some donors may be experiencing burnout. And then crowdfunding campaigns run online forever. So failure to complete a project will always be Googleable and may damage your reputation. So always, you know, if you're going to go this route, just be aware of the cons, baby. Be aware of the cons. All right. Equity-based and hybrid crowdfunding. A relatively new form of crowdfunding. Okay, this is very new. This is something that is really interesting, and it's only good for a certain type of people here. So let me address this correctly here. Equity-based and hybrid crowdfunding. Okay. A relatively new form of crowdfunding, equity-based model started gaining momentum following the passing of the Jumpstart Our Business Startups Jobs Act of 2012, which was a bipartisan law aimed at reducing the extent of security regulations so that private companies could solicit investments from the public. Crowdfunding sites that offer equity like Circle Up, Angels List, give investors a stake in the outcome of the project or company they decide to finance, whereas the donations on sites like Kickstarter come in small but steady streams. The money exchange on equity sites can range from thousands of dollars to tens of thousands of dollars. In addition to strictly equity type crowdfunding sites, there are hybrids like Popular Crowdfunder, which offers a blend of donation-based and investment crowdfunding. Similarly, Fundable is like Kickstarter, in that investors and entrepreneurs can solicit reward-based donations to fund their business, but it also offers new startups the option of choosing to raise their capital through several crowdfunding strategies, including equity and debt-based donations. In addition, Fundable brings together distribution companies, retailers, and other brands looking for the next big thing. As of this writing, it charges $99 per month to fundraise. As in all crowdfunding, inventors should proceed with caution. I don't know if I like that one, equity-based and hybrid crowdfunding. Let me know in the comments which one of these you've actually tried or you've been part of, or, I mean, if you don't like them, just let me know as well, because I mean, these are all very, there's some risk involved. So the range of crowdfunding options can be mind-boggling, especially when each site caters to various small businesses' needs. Plus, crowdfunding sites constantly make changes to how they do business, and they rise and fall in popularity. So always do your research and make sure to stay abreast of whatever new options become available. Magazines like Entrepreneur or Inc. often write articles or publish lists related to crowdfunding sites that can help you determine which one is right for you. And then she gets into creative funding sources. All right, let's talk about it, Lori. Let's talk about it. If you've exhausted all traditional funding raising channels, or you want to make sure you've left no stone unturned in the hunt for capital, get creative. It's like what you do when you're hunting for your misplaced car keys. When you've looked in all the usual places, start looking in the unusual places. Here we go, government grants, okay? The advantage of grants is that they do not need to be repaid. However, they are not free. In that, getting them takes a heck of a lot of work. Competition for grants is high. The grant writing process can be extremely complicated. The various grant sources often have stringent reporting standards, and there are usually strict limits on how you are allowed to use the funds. Grants aren't appropriate for every business either. For example, federal grant money cannot be used to launch a new business, and most small businesses do not qualify for federal grants. For that, you generally need to turn to a state or local entity. Grants are useful. However, if you have already launched your business and want to use them to fund additional research and product development, especially in science, agriculture, or technology, grants are usually awarded with the understanding that they will be used in conjunction with matching funds or a loan. Direct response television. Oh, it just ended. So grants are usually awarded with the understanding that they will be used in conjunction with matching funds or a loan. That's interesting. Okay. And then she gets into this, which I think this one is one of her favorites right here. DRTV companies, okay? Direct response television companies are different from television shopping channels like HSN or QVC. The DRTV companies sell products on television through short form spots, 1 or 2 minutes, or long form infomercials, which last 30 minutes. We'll catch them both infomercials here. We'll call them both infomercials here. QVC's programming is a form of direct response television. QVC's program is a form of direct response television, but QVC is home to the shopping channel, not a DRTV company. One of the differences is that on a home shopping channel, a presenter may offer any number of products for sale in a segment, whereas an infomercial is typically dedicated to a single product. A home shopping channel also works hard to build a long-term relationship with its viewers. While some DRTV companies promote their own products like Ronco, others typically promote products licensed from others. In fact, they will even fund new products. There's often a catch though. While DRTV companies may seem like attractive partners, some can also be a little like sirens of Greek mythology, luring you closer with beautiful songs until you dash yourself on the rocks. If a legitimate DRTV company truly wants to support your business idea, it should also be willing to put up the money to produce and market the infomercial. Many companies will tell you that they love your idea, but be aware if they want you to put up the money to film the infomercial and pay for the media time, the airtime for running it on TV. It is expensive, and paying for it yourself can be extremely risky because the infomercial success rate is exceedingly low. I generally wouldn't recommend that you fund the production in media testing on your own infomercial. So if a DRTV company is interested in making an infomercial on your product, they should be willing to pay for the production, make the molds if needed, source and finance your inventory, and pay for the media time. Yes. Okay. So if you are in this situation, make sure to ask those questions and make sure to set your rules and intention. Okay. So you don't go in there blindly, and then all of a sudden you're carrying the check. Typically, royalty rates in deals in which the DRTV companies assumes all responsibility and risk range between 1% to 3% of gross revenues. If you have a patent, you may be able to get a slightly higher rate. One additional note of caution: some contracts give the DRTV company exclusive rights to your product for years, making it impossible for you to take it anywhere. Oh, that would suck. Be extremely careful what you sign. And if at all possible, have an attorney review the contract to be sure that you are not being asked to give up too much. Try to insist on some form of performance benchmark, like a minimum annual royalty, in order for the DRTV company to retain its rights to your product. Your attorney may have other suggestions to protect your interests, and it is usually worth spending the money to get advice on how to ask for what you want in language that is most likely to elicit a favorable response. I agree with you. I agree with that 100%. Okay. Pay a little money to get educated. Pay a little money to get things done in writing, and pay a little money to, get what you want. Okay. at the very least, make sure that before signing any agreement, you understand exactly what rights you are granting, what rights you retain, and for how long that contract will remain in effect. Very, very amazingly put, Lori. I agree with you. Awesome. Contests. This is the next one. Contests. Kevin O'Leary has compared Shark Tank to a bank. He calls it the Bank of Tank. As a matter of fact, and indeed, Shark Tank and contests like it are marvelous opportunities in today's tough economic climate, providing many investors with much needed capital, even as banks turn people down when they would have easily been qualified for a loan just a few years ago. The more popular Shark Tank gets, the more local businesses, chambers of commerce, and even mayor's offices are sponsoring similar products and business idea contests, though on a smaller scale. Typically, the winner gets a cash prize and mentoring from local business people who can give an inventor access to machine shops, marketing experts, and other resources that can help them steer their idea to the next level of production and sales. The influx of capital might not be as large as what a successful contestant might get through a deal on Shark Tank, but it's something without any obligation to give up equity, and the access to expertise is invaluable. I friggin' love that. And that's literally what happened with the business plan competition that I was involved in. I did 3. And it was a great experience because it was just starting out. Shout out to FAU business plan competition days. It was really cool, and I'm grateful for the experience that I had in architecture, because in architecture, they break your soul every time that you're wanting to change the world. Okay. And in business, though, I feel like they were a lot nicer. I don't know. I always think that architecture was really intense compared to business school. Business school was a lot more laid back. Maybe that was just FAU, but anyways, shout out to them. It was a great, great, great experience. Okay. So if you enter a contest, enter to win. Yes, girl. You cannot over prepare. Familiarize yourself with the criteria for the contest and tailor your pitch to match. As you pitch, address the judges by name. Though your presentation should be well-rounded, find ways to link your product or idea with each judge's specialties and interests. Be ready to answer any questions. The top ones will be: what's your market? What will your product cost? And what can you sell it for based on your competition? Is your product patent protectable? Make sure you know the results of the market research. Ideally, solicit manufacturing quotes ahead of time so that all your product numbers are fact-based, not best guesses. Kevin O'Leary says that he has reviewed the tape of every deal in which an entrepreneur got funded and found that 100% were able to articulate the opportunity in 90 seconds or less, showing me why, if I were an investor, I would actually make money. That's crystal clear in every case. I like that. Okay, and then she's going to get into something that I feel like is almost like a trigger to some people, but I mean, she's going to get back into it. And if you haven't watched the first part of this video, make sure to do so, because she actually gives a word track that is extremely valuable. And she uses the Jeff Bezos example as a precedent for how this is actually going to go down. So without further ado, okay, your family revisited, okay? If your loved ones are living in fear while you're out there living your dream, you're all going to have a miserable experience, even if you do eventually succeed. What's the point of achieving your dream if you lose everything else that really matters in the process? As you negotiate ways to raise capital, if you have a family or share your life with a partner, keep in mind that your journey is their journey too. Even if they know everything you're doing is to secure the future, their future, and maybe even build something to pass on for future generations, it can be scary to family members to watch you put yourself on the line, especially when their lives are going to be affected by the decisions that you're going to make. It's crucial that you keep your parent, spouse, or partner informed, and if at all possible, involved too. Do not quit your day job before discussing the consequences and implications that decisions will have with your family. Do not secretly take out a second mortgage on your homes. Yes, do not do that. Do not secretly take out a second mortgage on your house. Having open and honest discussions will be crucial to building the trust and support you'll need from your spouse and partner to move forward. As discussed in Chapter 1, discussing the worst-case scenarios is important to establishing confidence and trust. A critical part of your conversations must include the following question: what's the worst thing that can happen? Then you have to ask, can we deal with those consequences? Discuss worst-case scenarios and establish how you will handle them. You'll both feel better if you're on the same page and prepared for any eventuality. Do not shy away from these difficult conversations. Do not shy away from these difficult conversations. The Startup Inventor's Road is an extremely hard one, aka any entrepreneur that's in business that wants to change their life forever and that wants to start something for their future. Yes, it's going to be a tough, extremely hard road to get on. So don't take it alone if you don't have to. Whenever possible, enlist your family in your business. That doesn't mean that you should necessarily work side by side in every day, but you know best how much togetherness your relationship can handle. But do whatever you can to make them feel like they are part of your new endeavor. It will keep you close with a common goal and a common bond. If you keep your family involved, you'll encounter a lot less resentment from whoever has to pick up the slack or spend more time alone while you're holding up in your office until 3 a.m. or traveling to meet buyers or inspecting a factory. And they will willingly put in the hours to help you for free, especially when they understand that ultimately everything you're doing is for them. It's easy for inventors and budding entrepreneurs to be so excited about that dream that they underestimate the impact their pursuit of those dreams will have on their partner or family, or they dismiss their concerns. Believing in an inventor's dream is one thing. Committing to an enormous financial risk that could have long-term implications to your future and that of your family is quite another. If your partner questions the wisdom of accepting a loan or terms of an investment, do not accuse the individual of being unsupportive. Make sure to explain how you intend to use the money, how you intend to make it back. Don't make promises and expect your partner to take you at your word. Show the person a well thought out financial plan and be prepared to answer any questions patiently and respectfully. Dan was supportive of my efforts from the beginning. If I believed my product was a hero, so did he. He didn't argue when I told him I wanted to make my earring organizer and jump into a full-time. At the time, I was actually writing plays and reading scripts at Chicago's Victory Gardens Theater. He didn't try to talk me out of using our savings account to fund my design drawings, prototypes, and travel expenses I would incur to pitch to the retailers around the country. I only felt comfortable taking out the loan I would need to pay the $120,000 manufacturing quote after my market research confirmed that about 90% of the women who saw the earring organizer said that they would actually buy it. Dan and I had a long talk. I outlined to him the cost of the tools I need to make for the organizer, as well as all the expenses I had calculated so far. And I shared with him how I intended to pay back the loan. He told me to go for it. Among the many things we have in common, one of them is that we stand behind our beliefs. I was certain my invention was going to sell, and that was enough for him. He knew I could do it. And with his trust and emotional support, I knew I could do it too. I ultimately I collateralized the loan with our home, but I reached out to a group of other family members and put put a plan in place in case the earring organizer failed. If that happened, they would help me pay down the loan until I got back on my feet, ensuring that Dan and I wouldn't lose our home. As I've shared, I was confident I wouldn't have to put that plan into effect, though. Everything was telling me that my invention was going to be a hit. Now, I just had to make it and sell it. Okay, and here's a little funding to-do list. 1, write a business plan, calculate. 2, calculate your business valuation. 3, investigate best funding sources. 4, develop a good presentation. And then 5, secure family support. That concludes chapter 5, all about funding. This book was written 2014, okay? And it's 2022 now, and a lot has changed when it comes to funding. But it's amazing that she relied on the principles that a lot of the wealthy people are using now, okay, to continue to fund their businesses. Credit, leveraging loans, using good debt, like all of that is so, so important. And if you know how to manage your cash flow, you will always be able to increase opportunities and understand your risk tolerance. I absolutely love the fact that she kind of went full circle and came back with the whole family thing. Personally, I don't like to do that with family. I don't like to take out, I'm not gonna I don't know. I'm just not that type of person. Neither is Vanessa. We'd rather give to our families, not take. And we just don't like to have that whole gray area with them. But when it comes to other people that have other types of opportunities within their family household, I encourage you to read this, because there's horror stories out there that one partner is not communicating with the other partner, whether it's their life partner or whether it's their business partner or both, literally taking out a second mortgage on their home out of the blue. How does that even happen? And one last thing that I want to say is, if you are in business and you have another significant other, or you have a business partner, whoever it is that you're working with, okay, they have to be involved in some level of financial understanding too. They need to know where the money is coming and where it's going. Because if you're doing something shady, or if the other person is doing something shady, you have to know. You have to pick that up so quick. I remember, what's his name? Oh my God, I just forgot his name. Steve Harvey, okay, with the mustache, incredible dude. He was sharing a story of his accountant, where he trusted the accountant for 10 years. Okay, I think it was 9 or 10 years. And every single year, the accountant said, hey, you owe this amount of money based on your income. And then Steve was like, yeah, sure, no problem. Take it out the bank. The accountant would actually write out the checks, put them with the IRS receipts, and then store them in the office. And Steve would look at his bank account and see the same amount on the check go out from his bank. So he saw that and was like, okay, cool. They just took out the money and paid the taxes. 9 years go by. And all of a sudden, Steve Harvey gets sued by the IRS, or, gets flagged or audited or something like that. And literally says that he owes millions of dollars in taxes. And he was like, who the hell? What? No, that's not me. And then turns out the accountant passes away. And then all of a sudden, one of the secretaries goes into his office, finds the box of receipts and checks in his office, and literally looks at it. And the accountant was literally taking the money from his account and then depositing it back into his own, different account. and he was stuck with the bill at the end of the day. So it doesn't just apply to, your spouse or, your immediate partner. You have to be wise with whomever you're doing business with, and whichever type of counsel you get. Okay, sometimes it's a CPA firm, sometimes it's your lawyer, sometimes it's your accountant. Like, just being conscious of all those decisions will save you lots and lots of money, and also time and headache and peace. Like, you deserve it. So anyways, when I heard that story, I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. And that's probably one of hundreds of thousands of different cases that happen every single year because of the negligence and the trust factor that goes into just, trusting someone without you getting educated. So make sure to commit to getting educated. Make sure to go and learn about what you need to learn and ask the right questions. Like, learn to ask the right questions. Some of the questions that she laid out here in this particular book were great questions to ask, not only when you're getting funding, but also being able to actually share with others. It's so important. Like, what to ask your attorney when you're about to do a joint venture partnership, different funding sources, what to actually present to a bank to get funding. Like, she lists out 16 unique, very important business plan requirements that you need to make sure that you have the right tools in your toolbox, so when the opportunity presents itself, you're ready to go. Wow, I freaking love Lori so much, and I respect her because shit, you got to be a business owner to get all this stuff. You got to go through some hard knocks in life to get to this point where you get where that person is going for. And if you haven't gone through something, okay, get ready. It's gonna happen. It's like, it's business. Okay, it's not for the easily hurt people. Okay, you got to go through it. You got to learn from it, and every single mistake that you do is the best teacher that you can get. I'll end it with that because that just came to my mind, and I was like, yes, that is literally what's happening. So anyways, I'm gonna see you in the next video where we actually go into chapter 6, and we're gonna get into the truth about patents, y'all. The truth about patents.